So everybody is in the garage. And but the ad agency did a really good job of making it like Hewlett-Packard garage, but it was kind of a little less.
Next question's a little bit long.
Nice if we ever sat there in the garage and talked about ideas of what to build, but we never even did any of that in the garage. All we did was test a board and sell it.
I put my glasses on for the next question. Bear with me. The folks here in the audience today represent some of the leading material handling, logistics, and supply chain professionals in the world. They are in an extremely competitive global environment. One of the things they're told very, very often, sometimes even from magazines like ours, is that in order to maintain an edge, you've got to be cognizant of new and emerging technologies. Yes, sometimes disruptive technologies. And you've got to be ready to embrace them and fully exploit the capabilities in order to compete well.
Sounds like how Steve Jobs was thinking when he returned to Apple.
Did you just tell me I think like Steve Jobs?
What?
Did you just tell me that I think like Steve Jobs?
Back what you were saying. When he came back to Apple, he talked to me. Oh boy, Apple was in distraught times, and part of it was the supply chain that we, had our inventory controls were very, very poor, and we overbuilt on products, and we had to trash them in a building in Campbell, California, and that was the only time we ever lost money was when. We had and he was also into when we built the Macintosh factory, trying to get closer and closer to just-in-time delivery of parts. But of course, this was before the internet. Now with the internet, boy, it's a really changed world. I wouldn't even know how it works now.
MHI to try and
you have a lot more choices. When we started Apple, Steve would get on the phone. If we couldn't get a part from the local distributor, he'd call a distributor on the East Coast, out of Boston, and find somebody who had 50 of this part that we needed. He'd secure them. So it was a one at a time, personal to person operation back then.
MHI, partially putting on the program and the Promat part of the Promat Automate, developed an initiative a couple of years ago they called the U.S. Material Handling and Logistics Roadmap. It's intended to help professionals such as this have some sense of what's on the come, what do they need to be prepared for. And it's come to be very highly regarded and often referred to. And it points to a lot of issues that there seems to be varying schools of thought are likely to provide some of the greatest catalysts for change between now and, say, 2025. The items they've identified include e-commerce, global competition, mass customization, wearable technology, robotics and automation, the Internet of Things, big data and analytics, 3D printing. It goes on, I'm going to stop there. Of the items on that list, which one do you think portends to bring the greatest level of change?
Run the list down again.
Here we go.
I'll think about it.
E-commerce, global competition, mass customization, wearable tech, robotics and automation, the Internet of Things, 3D printing, big data, and analytics.
Yeah, we left out self-driving cars and drones.
Well, I have driver autonomous vehicles here, but according to Elon Musk, they're not in the future. They're going to be on the road in 10 weeks.
I think that's going to be a pretty big one because, first of all, I think if I was to order something from Amazon and I could have the option to have it delivered to my doorstep in 15 minutes, I would take it. That's drone delivery. So there's going to be a big want there. How it will happen and be safe and all that and managed is going to be a big part of the future. Self-driving vehicles, just delivery vehicles alone, some people say is going to be a lot bigger than personal self-driving vehicles where you can forget life. I think it's going to change life a lot, so it's going to be very disruptive things, self-driving vehicles. Wearables, of course, I don't know how many of you have worn something like Oculus Rift, but when you're in that virtual reality world and it goes with you, that is an emotional experience that has a potential to be extremely huge and big, and that almost all future gaming and that sort of stuff, and even operations will be done with that. Yeah, 3D printing, I don't know. For prototypes in a company, it's very, very important, but for consumer use, I just never bought into it. It's like the toy to show off this month, but you've got to come up with some application that tells me, here's why I need it, here's what it does for me that's worth money. And how many things go bad in my home, like a little wall socket cracks, and I could 3D print my own. But I can't choose different materials like rubber and plastic and metal together. I can't choose different colors, and I don't know. It's got too many limitations right now. So, but then again, sometimes you don't know you have a problem until, you don't know you have a solution until the problem, you don't know you have a problem until somebody gets you a solution. And then we discover that, oh, there are a lot more things that we would do in the house that we never think we would want to use a 3D printer for. But right now, I'm not too hot on that one.
I know it was a long list, I'll read it again if you like. What's not on that list that the law sees on the horizon?
Well, it's not self-driving cars. Gosh, I don't think about this day in, day out. Artificial intelligence. You know, I'm talking to my machines, it's going to get better and better. Very often, I speak into my phone, I ask Siri a question that most humans would understand what I'm asking. And Siri doesn't get the understanding of the words. It gets the words right, but doesn't know what they mean. And I think that's going to involve something more like huge internet search machines that know what everybody in the world is searching, defines the meaning of words better than a dictionary does. For example, the word table has a meaning in the dictionary. But what if there's a congressman somewhere in the world named Table, and this week he's in a scandal? Well, this week I might use a sentence with the word table, and it should figure out from what all the humans are searching for. It's kind of like a collective consciousness, you know, that I meant the politician if it fits in.
Yep. Whether a person,
But we're gonna keep working on this, interpreting human language better and better. I prefer to do everything I can on my devices if for some reason I can speak it. Just speak it. I don't have to think about procedures. I was a real left brain, you know, focused on my engineering, connecting little tiny bits of parts and keeping track of hundreds of pieces of information at once. Now I just want to think a thought and speak it with incorrect words sometimes and incorrect grammar, but somehow get it understood. Right now I can't quite pause without Siri stopping. I want it to pause like a human would know. You're just paused and you're going to finish your statement. And I want to get more of that understanding. But the trouble is, every time we program with software, we make these machines understand more and more of us, they become a little closer to being like a real conscious human that you can't tell the difference. I mean, what if I was a metal machine in here, talking like this with all of you and answering questions with you, Mitch? And what if I were, and I knew so much from the internet and everything that I could impersonate Steve Wozniak? Well, you know, and you couldn't tell. This would be that. What if the trouble is, we're only moving in that direction. You know, every step we take getting closer to it, we say, oh, we've improved life for people.
we're just past the halfway point in an hour. Just a reminder, please share your questions, jot them down. Members of the staff here in the room will bring them up to us. Whether you're a person deciding, do I want an Apple Watch on April 25th, or should I wait? Or you're a business facing a major capital investment in new technology that is new. Any advice on how do you make decisions on, should I be a pioneer, a fast follower, should I be a lagger?
Well,
how do you assess the risk?
You're talking about things that are in the personality. Some of us are. My whole life, I have loved technology. I've loved to see the new features, to play with it, to plug things together, to be one of the first people to do that. I'm more limited on time than ever before in my life, but I still like to buy a lot of even smartphones that are not Apple's and play with them and say, whoa, there's a clever little feature here. And it's just the playtime of my life. So a new product comes out like the Apple Watch. Well, I've been buying smartwatches already to see what they're like. And every one of them so far just seemed to be between me and the better screen that really did the things that I want to do on my cell phone. And it's like those little Bluetooth earpieces. Remember how we put them in our ear and we wore them around for 2 days or 3 days, and then we got rid of them. Really didn't need them, they were in the way. It's sort of like a middleman. And that's what I felt about smartwatches so far. However, I'm a watch person. I wear one watch here. When I'm on a plane, I wear a little iPod Nano watch because it's got my music. So I'm sort of open to the idea of watches that have technology in them. So I'm going to buy the Apple smartwatch. I'm going to buy the absolute cheapest one though. I guarantee you, the absolute cheapest model possible, because I don't know why, but it didn't seem like the company we started when I looked at, $10,000 watch and a $17,000 watch, and the only difference for $7,000 is the band. It didn't seem like where we started to move the world forward. That's not the Apple that moved the world forward so much. So I'm going to stick at the low end and play with it. I really want to try Apple Pay and see if it does get easier. If it gets easier or it's more cumbersome because, I forgot to unlock my phone today, I have to do that first. I love Apple Pay with my phone, but I'll try things like that with the watch. And what was it bringing to life? The small display, does it work? Does it look good? Is it attractive enough? We're in a world where a lot of people gave up watches. I wouldn't predict, how it's going to go, but it's an amalgamation of all the different personalities combined. And I think we're going to get an awful lot of, believe it or not, female purchases of those watches.
Change is happening. We accept the fact technology is going to continue to advance. It's going to continue to drive change. Some of it will be disruptive, some will be helpful, whatever. Is there any way to go about predicting or making a best guess on the rate at which technological change is going to happen? I mean, how do we know? Well, up until last week, we thought driverless vehicles were 10 years out, not 10 weeks out. How does one go about saying, okay, what's coming next? When's it going to come?
I was an inventor and just wanted to go in the lab and build things that were ideas and forget the marketing research and all these documents and people seem to know what's good. When you're the person who wants to buy something, you know it's good. When you're building products that you want yourself, like I did with computers, like Steve Jobs did with the iPhone, every little nuance and detail had to fit him. That's when you get the great products. Elon Musk and the Tesla, it was for his own family. And the supercharging stations were between his home in Los Angeles and the factory up in Fremont. So that, I think that's, you gotta be close to the product and care about it. I forget the rest of the question, so.
It wasn't really that good a question.
I had some good answer plan.
Folks in this room are very aware, it's talked about often and has been for several years, the issue of finding the right talent for the future. In fact, at Promat and Automate this year, there's an entire track and sessions called the Workforce Summit to address some of those issues. What are your best ideas for advancing education in the U.S., and to what extent should private industry play a role?
Oh, advancing education. I gave one idea for advancing primary education, K-12, which is someday have a computer be one teacher per student, and it gets away from the problems that a teacher can't attend to every little individual's difficulty and keep them fully engaged and up and learning. And what was the second part? That was teaching.
Teaching, I'm not going to scroll up to find that.
I'll get more of that. Okay. So, education in general, like, university education is generally pretty good everywhere. Because a lot of times, by the time you get to graduate school, you are given projects and courses, and the courses will give you the knowledge to complete a project assignment. And it's random, it's not like out of books, it's not the same thing that other people's have done. So there's a lot of good at the university level in our education system. The cost, of course, is prohibitive right now. It's really it's bad for a lot of people. I look at college this way. It's not where you learn to do the work you're going to do in life. You learn everywhere, walking around, talking to other people, getting little clues, finding what you want to do. You become good or bad at certain things. College is the most fun 4 years of your life, is the way I look at it. That's the way I treated my own kids. You know, it's not even what school you go to and how prestigious it is. It's the learning's going to be in your own brain. You're going to do the learning. You're going to get the same books and teachers everywhere. You should go to the school where there's more people like yourself with your personality that you'll get along with and have a good time. And then you'll do the best. As far as companies, how do I find people that have the talents I need? Funny thing is, an ongoing large company, the most important thing is the product line that is bringing in the revenues of the company is the most critical thing. That can't be tampered with. New Coke, can fail. And so you got to keep your existing products going, but you've got to be ready to change so you're not the one that gets disrupted, killed. You don't want to be the one that gets disrupted, so you've got to be looking for change too. Now in your company, you need a lot of engineers that can build the products and do the tasks over and over that are well trained, but you need a few of the inventor types. An inventor is not the same as an engineer. Inventor is the one who just gets a little idea, goes off and wants to explore it and build it themselves and have a lab full of tools and try to whip up something quick. And you need a few of those people that kind of have the vision and the dreaming and can put those things together, and they should be close to the CEO as far as giving ideas of where the company might be able to go and find direction. They could also be very young people that are only in contact through email with a CEO. It's very important to keep that side of the business too, the newer, changing, inventive side going beyond just engineers that have gotten good grades in school.
It's 2015.
Yeah.
An 18-year-old walks up to you for advice, and tells you I'm passionate, I want to do something that will change the world, what would you